What is up, everybody? Liam Murphy back with another stream and another prestigious guest. Today we have on the one, the only John Daigle. John, how you doing today?
It's odd that I'm here, given your other guests and their expertises, but honored you invited me on. And as a big fan of your show, glad to be here.
Well, John, my introduction to you, I think I've seen you in the Twitterverse in the past, but my main introduction came this summer on friend of the show, the Spike Week. We did the Royal Rumble, and man, every interaction I have with you so far, like there's been points where I'm in tears of laughter. So I'm a big proponent of finding people that we find funny to listen to, especially if you're going to be gambling kind of serious money on best ball. Like you're going to lose a large clip of the time. So find people that make you laugh, and I think you found that merge of comedy and analysis that people are drawn to.
The mantra should be take your job seriously, but not yourself. And that's kind of the way I live life.
Yeah, me too, man. And we were discussing a little backstage, definitely some excitement before we got the stream up. Gave the people no warning. So we'll see what our viewership numbers are like today. Usually like to tweet that out. I was just on the other coast of Florida. So I drove back. It's a rainstorm. It's that time of the summer in Florida where it rains real hard. I grab my computer bag. I come inside. Twitter's down. I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't really have a way to get in contact with John. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi, whatever, but here we are. Let's see. We got some people in the chat. Paul, Carlos, thanks for tuning in, guys. Today, we're going to be ripping a Ball Mania 3. We're going to discuss camp news. We're going to pick John's brains on some strategy. Before we do, this looks breaking news. There is a brand new big dog, a $250 best ball contest, $100K to first, real top heavy, $33K to second, and let's see how many entrants it is. Rake is nice at 9%, max entry 69. You always like that for the lulz. How many entries are there here? Sometimes you got to click this all rule button to get in the nitty gritty. You guys can't see the screen, but I'm going to share it with you. So the structure is 2.3K entries. It is a 12-person group as normal, and the top 4 people in round 1 will advance out of round 1. I think I get why sites do that. I think it gives more people that min cash, gives more people the enjoyment, like a positive experience. But I don't know. For advancing, 1/3 advancing is a little, that's why the contest gets so top heavy to me. So, we're not here to critique, but I know Underdog's open to feedback. So it goes after the round 1. It is a 6-person group, which top 2 out of 6 would advance. Very
thin advanced lines.
And then it is an 8-person group. And again, top 2 out of 8 advance. And then it is a 64-person final where you're playing for, if I look at the prize pool, so placing last in the final will give you 1K, and placing first will give you 100K. So that's how the contest gets so top heavy. And my feedback for any contest like this is, keep the top 2, keep what we know, 2 out of 12 advance, and then you can smooth out those finals prizes. But anyways, I'll definitely be firing those, streaming those in the future. But before we jump into today's draft, John, just wanted to, something I like to ask all my guests is, what's your past experience with best ball, and where are you at in this year's process?
Best ball, I have to think a long way back. I guess draft, MFL 10s were the earliest I believe I played. Still exist, but now we play far fewer on them given the interface and how simple it is for Underdog. I think I went heaviest in draft, which I'm sure you recall, for that 1 year it was available before it got sold.
This is my 3rd year playing best ball. I just
wasn't.
I wasn't like, either the prize pools weren't big enough to catch me, or I just like randomly stumbled upon best ball like clicking the DK app, seeing if they released salaries, I think 2 years ago, and then saw the best ball button. I was like, huh, what's this? Like, I didn't even find it until like early August that year.
Draft was not a 1 million. That was BBM. That was the first one that Herzig took down. But draft was, gosh, what was it? 200K, 500K, something like that Jeremy Levine put up. But that also came down to the user interface. That's how best ball has become so popular. It's literally just an app. If you have an amazing app, you will do glorious. And although now we all stream it, that wasn't the case with draft. No one was really streaming it. It really just comes down to live drafts from your app. And that's what's helped a ton. But yeah, I go back to MFL 10s more than anything. But if MFL 10s were nowadays, it's about unique structure. MFL 10s were vanilla structures all the time. Even two defenses. We drafted kickers as well, which FFPC has even gone down now on those. They used to have, were they 30 rounds? I believe I took place in a couple 30-round leagues. Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Even they're capitulating to the masses.
Yeah, they used to call them slims. I guess they still do, but now like it's only 18 or 20 rounds, and then everyone gets out of there. I used to stream or be on streams with 30-round drafts. Like those are nuts. I can't even having
the
taken
60-second clocks too, man. Like on FFBC, like that's a whole world different of a stream.
The difference now between like even in FFC, right? 18 rounds in Underdog. And then I get to FFPC and I'm drafting like Montreal Washington, Jordan Mason in the last round. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I have to do this. Like, I can't imagine 30 somewhere. I can't imagine 30 rounds though now. Like I don't know where I would go.
No. How about, I think you were previously with NBC and now you're with 4 for 4. How long have you been in the fantasy football analyst game?
So, having just found me, thanks for that, by the way. I appreciate it. It's a long story.
Okay. We got time, man. We got time if you got time.
I can shorten it because a lot of people may know the story, but I've known what I wanted to do since elementary, high school. A lot of people I know go to college or choose not to. They're just entrepreneurs and figure it out from there. But I personally knew I wanted to be on radio and write in a newspaper, write about sports. And that became, in high school, or I guess in college at that time, it became the internet and podcasts. Okay, now you can venture out even more very easily. Great. But
much more accessible now, too.
Very, very much so. I also played poker in the back of a sushi restaurant in Bryan, Texas. Just played with a couple other older guys and kind of made money a little bit that way.
Is this like 2-4 limit you're playing, or like?
It was no limit actually. And gosh, what were the blinds? They may have been 2-4, 3-6. Yeah, something like that.
Like 50 cent one,
just grinding money that I also got from a part-time job. And then, in college, some people may know, like you are built up, like you go up the ladder all the way to the end, and then you graduate, and then you're kicked on your ass again. You start all over.
Yeah, then it's like, oh, damn.
And I just knew what I wanted to do. But coming from a small town in Texas, I didn't have like any connections. I didn't really know anyone outside of what the internet allowed me to, cold emails and whatnot. I even have a hard drive, by the way, of all these, because I created my own podcast and website that no one listened to, but it allowed me to get the reps for a decade. It allowed me to just like,
that's essential.
It allowed me to practice editing audio and like writing and creating my own deadlines and everything, that I would be there for a column twice a week, weekly picks as well. So it allowed me so much. Even so, like, he doesn't know this actually, but I have a hard drive in my parents' closet where I interviewed Adam Levitan maybe before Roto World. It was a cold email. He wrote me back.
How big was Levitan at this moment?
No, like Levitan was nobody. I was
like a Philly sports reporter who you're like, hey, you.
I was a poor man's nobody. He was under the bridge Philly reporter nobody. Yeah. But I knew of him because he was one of the few people talking about fantasy news. And
I bet he would love that. If you could find that clip and send it to
I guarantee you I could find it. It's on the same hard drive. I kept literally 8 years of podcast all on one hard drive in my parents' closet. Man. I keep it stored there. But anyways, the small percentage, the finite amount of people that like just don't make it in this industry. Like the OGs now that didn't even make it till later on. There are email threads with JJ Zachariason, Rich Rebar, who did make it later on, but like Denny Carter didn't get a full-time job for a couple years ago, but he goes way back a decade too. Peter Overzet used to be in these RotoViz threads, and then like he did the comedian thing, and now he's like genuinely one of the smartest people, both in comedy and fantasy. But like a lot of people just toil away and don't catch a break. And that's kind of what happened to me on a lesser scale, where I was grinding behind the scenes, but nothing was happening. I made all kinds of connections. I worked for free with literally everyone. I mean, I have this is how I know everyone in the industry, and everyone knows me because I have worked with or for everyone. Eventually didn't get my break, went to Australia, a quarter-life crisis, 25 at the time. Thought, oh, well, like my life's over. I tried to get a break. Didn't happen. Moved to Australia just with a backpack to play poker. I entered the Aussie Millions. Gosh, what year is this now? I was 25, so 9 years ago now. But yeah, so I played poker there, just table games at the Crown Casino, while also working as a barista part-time in the morning because that allowed me to play poker at night. You have to get you have to get a coffee degree in Australia, by the way, because like their coffee is so pristine. It's second, if not better, than Italy's. Like it's where the best coffee comes from. So I'm also now a coffee snob. 2 years of that, I thought I was still working the football, by the way, which they're 16 hours ahead is Monday morning, 6 a.m. kickoff. So I was like, this is great. I get to watch football. I get to write columns all Monday afternoon and Monday night, podcast in the afternoon. And I release it by the time people wake up in America, like on Monday morning. It just works out weird that way. And after 2 years though, I got paid by SB Nation. I was doing that part-time. And I just thought, okay, if like I'm going to make it, now I need to go back and try this. I really need to try this. Saw a tweet from also not really a nobody, but also at the time, someone who is not of this stature now, Jonathan Bells, one of my very good friends. And he just said, hey, starting a website, need some help. Don't care about your resume. This is the same thing he'd say today. Don't care about your resume. Tell me what you've done. I explained my life up to that point, like
easy hire,
now, to this Jonathan Bells. And he hired me for what was then Fantasy Labs. That was a startup. And then I get there and it's literally me and Adam Levitan running NFL news on our own. We just, for 2 years, we just took NFL news, only two people. He would take.
Is Twitter the medium you're pushing it out on, or like is Twitter even that big at this point?
Twitter's definitely still big, but this is when Levitan was working with RotoWorld, DraftKings, and Labs. Like he was definitely putting his hands in everyone's pocket,
searching for all income streams.
So I would take mornings and like late nights, and I think he would take afternoon whenever the kids were gone. I think this is before he could afford childcare too. So we were just literally running NFL news as a competition to RotoWorld, but DFS specifically. And this is, of course, the boom of DFS. So this site is working out great, not to mention the models. Also, like Justin Fan, Jay Pearson, who everyone knows from Underdog now, they also were at the startup of
Peter
Fantasy
Jennings.
Labs. Of course, yeah. Peter Jennings, Jonathan Bells.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I got to work with all of these guys who are now like all of my very good friends for that company as a startup for 2 years. And then once things fell through for
and are they like, they're a startup. So what, like, is this like, are you getting paid just to get by, or is it a little bit better at this point?
Funny story, actually. It's like I'm doing fine. It's not great like it is now in the industry, but like I'm doing fine for just starting, right? But they eventually made myself and Jay Pearson, who's behind the scenes at news at Underdog, for those that don't know, like literally one of the hardest grinders that has no social media presence. He's just like one of the smartest individuals, one of my best friends that I've ever met. He and I were working around the clock NBA news as well. So NFL gets done, I join him for NBA, and it's like around the clock. Eventually it becomes where Justin's running models, Jay runs the news on Twitter accounts. Everyone, of course, knows Fantasy Labs NBA, which they started. And then I write the blurbs at the time. So I'm writing every blurb. He's doing every news tweet. Justin's doing every model thing. And then we have a call in the afternoon to fix it all. So that, because NBA news now, that led to us working so many hours. They had no choice but to make us salaried employees because our hourly wage was like double what I made as a salaried employee. Like we were literally, unhealthy as it is. It was, I'm not even kidding, I think it was 16 to 20 hour days every single day because it was 3 people.
You don't have time to go use the benefits they're giving you for healthcare or anything.
None whatsoever. And then like I eventually got burnt out, admittedly. And I just thought, okay, like I had my run. This is a lot of fun. I made some very good friends, but maybe this just isn't for me. I was gone out of the industry for essentially a year. And And I got the itch. That's what happens. You get out, you get back in. Like if you really were meant to be here, you never go away. You just have that itch.
You sound like you were meant here.
Yeah, you were meant to be here, truly. And I got the itch. So I lied to JJ Zachariason, who knew of me, but we hadn't worked together. I lied in an email, just said, "Hey, I saw Number Fire's acquiring. Do you have a spot for this?" He wasn't acquiring. I just like I thought if I lied about it, maybe he didn't know.
Hey, little fibs, man. Little fibs are fine.
I just figured he didn't know about the hiring process. That you could get away with this back in the day, by the way, of cold emails. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, actually, like we have a spot for you in this." I started writing just one article a week, and then people, as the regular season goes on, this is what happens, right? And for those that want to write in the industry, just know, like, don't ever create an idea with what you're going to do in week 1. Create that idea and finishing in week 17, now 18. Because like so many people burn out or fade away because the redraft grind is fucking hard. I love it. Like I'm meant to grind, but it is hard. And you are tired and depressed and overweight and everything by February. That's the part you don't hear about in the industry. That's why we talk to each other, because we all feel that way, genuinely. So I picked up more articles in the playoffs. And then Evan Silva DM'd me, who knew me from my work at Fantasy Labs. We hadn't talked at all. And he just said, "Yo," and then his next tweet was his phone number. And so I called him. I'm living in LA at the time. And I called him and he just said, "Hey, like, what the hell are you trying to do in the industry?" He's like, "I see you grinding away over here. I've noticed you for years. I just don't understand, like, what's your goal here?" And I eventually said, "Yeah, like I tried to break in and I worked so hard. I outworked everybody, I felt like, and it just never happened." I think it's because ultimately, when you look back at it, this is a therapy lesson now as well. I was working. I was working in all the wrong areas. Like I was working hard in areas I didn't need to work hard at, and so I was devoting myself everywhere when I didn't need to. So accountability. But ultimately, I just told him, yes, I wanted to. I tried, couldn't make it, and then he goes, "Do you have an idea?" And I told him about available targets and air yards, which I still do. But he's like, "Okay, give me that idea in a week." It was after the Super Bowl, and we're going to put it on Roto World immediately. I said, "Okay." This is before a year, 2 years before ETR started. And so then like that, they let me run news. They said, "Okay, this column's good. Let's see if you can work news," because writing news is hard. But remember, I like to think of nothing as a mistake, that everything we do is not a mistake as long as we receive education from it. Because that means we're actually learning then. It's not a mistake. And so all these hours I put into news at Fantasy Labs, again, this is a long story. I warned you.
I'm enthralled, man. Keep going.
All these hours I put into news, 20 hours every day at Fantasy Labs, then allowed me to hit Roto World. And they literally stopped training me in a week. They just got out of the way because they knew, like, yeah, whatever, like, this guy's just fine. So I would just work shifts on my own, then full-time shifts. I would take Silva's shifts because I was hourly at the time. So I'd be like, "No, you get off news. I'm going to work your news for you and just make more money this way." And that earned his respect as well. And then from there, I was a part-time employee, still joining their podcast and writing a column every week. But it was a usage column at the time. But then, like, within the next year, that's when I went full-time and they brought everyone to studio. They bring me in for like a little tryout on camera. Everything goes great in NBC. That's the famous clip that's still on Google, by the way. My very first appearance is letting the clock run out in a live draft when we're in studios for it, which is what I still do on every single stream, essentially. It's I think John Daigle, Andrew Luck. If you look up the click on Google, my name will be the first one that clip comes up. But overall, yes. Then that led me to full-time 4 years at NBC. And then contract ended in February. As we all know, if we want to get higher than just the simple content creation way of life and not play the one-for-one salary game in life, you got to own something, right? You have to be an owner. Thus, that led me to BetSperts and 4for4. And now here we are in August, post-February. And that's the story of everything, Liam.
Are you saying you're a part? Whatever. Well,
no. No. Just no. I maybe shouldn't have said that on the stream. It's okay.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to say is, I relate a lot to that. First, I found the industry very accessible. All it took was shipping down BBM2, and people are willing to talk. No, I'm kidding. No, it's really a lot of hard work, and I really like hearing people's stories because, I mean, look, life is a lot of luck, and I don't think people want to talk about that, but you make your own luck, like where when we just hear what John, like if you're someone out there, I know there's a lot of younger people listening to this. I'm sure some want to get in sports. Like, listen to what John did there. He grinded for 8 years. Literally no one, I'm sure, was clicking his site that's on his podcast. And then he was doing a bunch of things. It sounds like really you just needed to like specialize kind of a little bit. Like you're doing like the NBA, you're doing this. Like seemed like you needed a little vision, but you got there eventually because you got quote unquote lucky making the connections. No, you didn't. You put in a lot of work to get where you are, and I think people can relate to a lot of what you said. And yeah, astute viewers notice that I am rocking my Australian Socceroos jersey. So that was funny.
It's also you put yourself, yes, like you said, you put yourself in position to be in luck, and that's why luck is a thing, really is a thing. But also there are people who give themselves more chances, like more draft picks to get lucky, and that's how luck is delivered. So that's ultimately what happened in the end. Yes.
I mean, if we're talking like best ball, like I'm not going to play a contest where first prize is 5K because I don't want to, and this might be backwards, but I don't want to waste my quote unquote luck and like get lucky in a contest and then be, when there's like, I search for these super top heavy fields, which of course I got really lucky to ship that. That's probably never happening again, but here we are, guys. You make your luck. A couple sun runners that we're going to be streaming with. The viewers are turning in. Love to hear. Looks like we got Neil. All right, Neil, settle down there, dog. We'll see you in these BBM stream. All right, guys, we're gonna jump in a puppy, so make sure to click the puppy with us. Psych, trying to pull a fast one on you. Let's see if we can get in with no streamers here.
Way too
always try to get the stream snipers out of here. Yeah, we have no problems fucking with the audience. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Smash that subscribe button. I think I'm over 700 subscribers now. I'm just going to write 710. This isn't anything that updates, but guys, hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate it. And we did not fool anyone. We pulled the 109. So,
okay.
Daigle, there's infinite things we could talk about here that I'm curious about you. But let's do a little bit of best ball. How are you feeling about these 109s, these 116s? You're usually looking at the Steph Diggs, the Travis Kelce's, one of the running backs. What's more your style,
I think this year is very unique. Every year is unique, but this year is unique, odd, funny, and that basically your goal is to not step on marbles, right? Every single round. Every player from round 2 on literally has a blemish. I don't want to draft anyone from round 2 on, but we have to. And in best ball, we also have to draft based on assumptions. So like the conversation right now on Twitter is Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, touch splits. It doesn't matter. Like we're not drafting a best ball based on that assumption. I genuinely do not care about analysis about that backfield. I have to draft Javonte Williams, assuming he's going to reach a ceiling outcome, but that's the only way we're going to win 2 million if we draft Javonte Williams anyhow. So we just have to assume that happens. At the 109, it depends who falls, of course. I think there's a massive tier drop off after the first 5 receivers. So, of course, the first 2 in whatever order between Kupp or Jefferson you have them, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, and Devontae Adams. After that, I can name literally a red flag, maybe even for Adams, but I can name a red flag for every single receiver. And the last 3 years since Best Ball Mania has opened, to be a top 5 running back, the average among top 5 running backs in points per game the last 3 years has been 20.5, whereas the average for top 5 receivers in fantasy points per game in that span, half-point scoring, has been 17.5. So I think ideally you actually want to be in a position where you flex a running back. Having said that, knowing that the cliff is falling off and knowing that the way people are treating Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara.
Real quick, we're on the clock. Do you want it? So let's come back to Diggs. All right, easy. I would say so what John's saying is the top 5 running backs score more points than the top 5 wide receivers, but I would say a couple things is unique. A, you have to start 3 wide receivers every week.
Yep.
So to me, a 17.5 wide receiver is more valuable than a 20.5 running back because I think I can make up that difference later.
Sure.
The other thing is all of the running backs typically taken in these ranges now are getting up in the age where usually some of them start slowing down. So it's like, is Dalvin Cook still going to be Dalvin Cook? Is Derrick Henry still going to be Derrick Henry? And then there's questions about a bunch of like these guys. And it's like the draft landscape just changes a lot real quick. I think people are getting sharper real quick. The running back dead zone, quote unquote, like what even is that this year? Like if we look at Mike Davis is not Mike Davis from last year is not a running back I see. You know, like maybe you could say it's James Conner, but like I see the optimistic case for that. Like Brees Hall, that's not running back dead zone. Cam Akers, like I guess, like but like David Montgomery, that's a running back dead zone guy to me. But
From
there's like optimistic picks there.
That's why I think AJ Dillon's getting pushed up, and to an extent, J.K. Dobbins. Like Lamar Jackson has targeted his backfield at a bottom 5 rate in the last 3 seasons as a starter. Like J.K. Dobbins doesn't have receiving upside, but he has the fact. I don't even care about his injury, honestly. He has the fact that Gus Edwards is questionable
real
for week
quick.
1.
Do you like any of these running backs? Do you like a tight end?
Diggs, not tight end.
I
would go running back here.
I like Swift of the crew, but I'm okay with Saquon and Jones if you want to go one of these guys instead. Or
I would go Swift over Barkley.
Okay. And where are you? Like, I think I put out a tweet about the like Barkley, Jones, and Swift running back combo actually, and I asked, who assign a percent chance that these running backs finish as a top 5 running back in the league this year. And I think people were like highest on Barkley, next on Swift, and they were not there with Jones, which, I mean, the case for Jones is just if they start doing Devontae Adams short yardage stuff, but with Jones instead. Like he's like the speed win back. Like, Aaron Rodgers' offenses are weird. So, okay, Allen Lazard may be really hyperinflated, but would it really be a shock for him to get 10 touchdowns? No. But anyways, we're off the rails. So back to what you were saying before we had to cut you off for some picks.
Swift or Barkley's just fine. Again, all these guys I have in the same tier. I like when Joe Mixon falls because that's our leverage off of Joe Burrow in the passing game that everyone's drafting, especially because everyone admits they have an improved offensive line on paper, but then everyone's trying to attack Joe Burrow instead when, again, Joe Mixon is our pivot. So I still like getting Joe Mixon in the back of the end.
I don't like Mixon, man. Mixon to me is, I think I just like these 3 running backs, Swift, Barkley, Jones, straight up to him. The improved O-line, I get a lot. I get that point. I don't think Cincinnati's going to be able to run the ball against the Bills week 17 in like a winning formula. They're, like they didn't play him on pass downs in the Super Bowl. I don't see like he has really high ceiling outcome games. Like he's shown us 40-point games, 45-point games in the past. But I don't know. Like I think I like some of these running backs straight up, like Fournette even, but Kamara. But, am I going to be shocked if Mixon's the guy? No. Like ultimately you just need to choose some, get exposure. And, you only have so many lineups, but I get what you're saying too with
the leverage. Yeah, it's the leverage in a large field tournament. Like everyone asks like how to get unique. Like I think
But you're not really leveraging, right? Because Mixon's getting drafted in every draft.
That's true, but it's in my opinion, it's a leverage off their passing game because everyone's trying to stack because it's very possible to get Chase and T. Higgins, and then of course everyone just reaches on Burrow.
Yeah. To me,
that's the way I look at it.
Like Burrow's ADP to start the year, like it feels wrong. Like he was going like ahead of Hurts. Like he was going ahead of some of these Konami quarterbacks. That's like, that just doesn't seem right. On the other hand, they got the improved O-line. The coach should be more trustworthy that they're not going to like dumb down the offense now that he's a year removed from the injury. And if anyone's going to be the Tom Brady of this generation, is it not Joe Burrow, where it's just like he's insanely efficient every year and everyone's like, oh, can we really take him this high? And then each year he keeps doing it with, I think Jamar Chase will go down as, if not the best, one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL ever.
All of this is true. I still am a little bit down on their offense relative to everyone else. And you mentioned the coaching staff. Like I do think Zach Taylor's still one of the worst play callers or one of the worst coaches.
Yeah, he's not good
in the league. Like, of course he could just crater this offense and just rely on Joe Mixon carries anyhow. So that's the way I look at
it. Someone asked my chess rating. My FIDE rating is 2050.
What's the highest FIDE rating?
Magnus Carlsen is like 2,800.
Wow.
A grandmaster is 2,500. FIDE master is 23. So I could if I put a lot of effort in, I could probably get to like 23.
Do you play for money online or do you go to live events?
No, it's too much of a skill game where it's like, if you are not good at chess, you're not going to gamble with someone who's better than you, and you would have to you would have to be concerned about computers. Because like a cell phone can be Magnus Carlsen today.
I would love to see you play. I would love to hear more about this.
Oh, I'm going to start chess streaming soon. So I like Josh. I'm a big Mike Williams guy this year, but I feel like we have to go Josh unless you want to do something else.
No, let's do it. I don't know if I have any Josh Allen just because he always falls like before this. So yeah, we have Diggs.
Yeah, so so here's the case for like I wasn't I have a couple shares when he was a second round pick, but now that he's a third round pick, even if Josh Allen is a low advance rate player, like let's pretend that he's low advance rate because Murray, Mahomes, Herbert, Lamar, like all these quarterbacks going these rounds matches production at a cheaper cost, and the skill position players we get here are worse than these guys, which honestly I don't really view. Like we're pushing up a lot of these guys on, so like Herbert goes right now, but that's not typical. But anyways, even worst case, Josh Allen is a low advance rate player. If we can outdraft the room, which I have the ego to think that I can make good draft selections throughout the whole round, like I think I can still advance a lower advance rate player. And then when you come these playoff weeks, if you have a low owned elite quarterback, that is really massive leverage and one of the easiest ways to get into the finals and then do well in the finals.
We will also have the opportunity to get Gabriel Davis, Darren Waller still on the board too as well. I'm not a late round tight end guy. I usually try to get one of those 5. And right now they're ADPs. It makes it easy for Kittle and Waller.
I love the elite tight end. So I'm cool with Gabe. I'm cool with Darren. I'm cool with literally anyone.
I think given the stack, I think Davis, it's not unique yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, we can get unique later with our picks. And like this is why the day the contest open, for example, Josh Allen's ADP was like, it was just aligned with Stephon Diggs to go in the second round.
Yeah.
And I knew at the time that was a bad cost. And I knew that he also would correct over time to like around the third round or so. But I knew the other ADPs later in the draft were way off. So I knew that I could build teams, even though I'm sacrificing this second round pick versus a third round pick or wherever, like the Josh Allen versus second round pick versus Josh Allen, a third round pick, 2v2. Like I knew I could get like Sky Moore way past ADP, James Cook like these players that are going to rise over time. Mike Williams, Gabe Davis used to go in the 5th, 6th round, etc. How about in the managed streets? Are you someone that ever fools around on FFPC? Do you put like one main event team in or split one with a friend or anything?
I usually play 3 to 5, 4 to 6, somewhere around that range. And then this year I'm going to stick around on Saturday in Vegas because I usually travel for the live drafts and whatnot. I'm going to stick around and play a few NFFC drafts. So like some friends were telling me like of the GOAT District pod. I don't know if you listen to that. I pretty much quietly take in every single piece of content behind the scenes.
I reached out to you. I was like, hey man, here's my channel. Would love to have you on. And you're like, oh yeah, I listened to every episode.
I think a lot of people don't do it because they don't want that to
the extra
reflect
voices
on their opinion, but also like one of my skills is taking in 99% of everything and shitting it out. It's like, I know what matters and I know how I view the NFL and player usage and scenes. And so it doesn't really reflect my opinion, but it helps my blind spots. And also I get to credit other people who do amazing work. So those guys over there, suggested I jump in some drafts. So like the NFFC, what's the silver bullet? Like 2K. And then there's a prime time, which is 1,500. So I'll jump in both of those this year.
I've not gotten in those streets yet, but I want to say
it's a lot of work, man. Waiver wires are no joke.
I want to go to Vegas, and I still think I might. But here's my current predicament: my girlfriend's friend has a wedding in England that is the weekend of. Oh shit! I need to plug in my computer. It's the weekend of NFL. The season starts, so. Basically, I would have to do something like, and I've never been to Europe, so my thought was that I would like go the week, the week before, explore Europe a little bit, and then go to the wedding. But now I'm thinking maybe I go to Vegas. I guess I would have to like leave Friday or Saturday, fly over to England, hope I can edit my DFS lineups and. Oh yeah. But maybe I'm just gonna have to cut out Vegas this year, but we'll see about all that. Still time to figure it out. But
if I'm
in Vegas, I'll definitely be seeing you there.
I don't stay on Sunday because there's too much
no
that
one
goes
does.
on.
Everyone
Yeah,
leaves Saturday, right?
there's too much that goes on, but I do stay Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, and all the ship chasing people, Pat Crane, Pete Overzet, all of them, they're all gonna be there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I had to had to plug in my laptop there. I had the Siege on the other day, and he mentioned that you go to Vegas as well. All right, we are coming onto our selection. Let's see what Puck Who does. By the way, guys, this channel should look at this. It's merging these two usernames because this guy's username is so long. I would have taken Akers there. I like DK. I like MT. I'm fine with Moody, Dobbins, Mitchell. Anyone you're feeling, Daigle?
I'm so used to drafting Kyler around this range that now with Josh Allen, I don't know what to do. I guess MT, I guess, would be my lean.
Okay, we'll go MT. I probably would have gone DK there myself, only because I've been buying the Michael Thomas since the start of the season.
Sure.
And I bought the dip. So I was like, I have all these teams with 6-7 MT. But it's Michael Thomas. I love Jameis this year. I think he is real. If I had to put the over under at the amount of 25-point fantasy games he's going to give us, maybe 5 to 6, that's a really solid portion. Pairing Jameis with Josh Allen is one of my dream. I really like doing elite and then Jameis as my second.
We need that Jameis the last 2 games when he attempted the 3rd highest rate of throws, 20 plus yards downfield. That's the Jameis we need. 14 carries in that span as well.
It's okay, Daniel. I'm sure Underdog will fix this eventually, where currently they're coding if you just have a really long username, they just let you have the box. And they need to just make the box limited.
I'm sure they'll see the complaint enough to where they'll fix it. They've been pretty good about fixing everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's bigger things to deal with, but all right, so I mean, kind of around we could hit running back unless you feel strongly about anyone else. Let me know if you want to see a certain position group too.
Not really strongly. I haven't ended up drafting many Jets receivers, any of them.
Yeah, I don't really want to go there.
Not really worried about the offensive environment.
Where are you at between these two guys? I think JK's about to get more expensive.
It's got to be Dobbins. It's got to be Dobbins.
All right, yeah. Because I think he's about...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say again, I really don't even think he has top 12 upside, but no Gus Edwards, at least for week 1, most likely. Brought along slowly and may just end up on the team's pup list and miss the first month of the season. And that gives Dobbins what we assume will be the entire backfield to himself for at least a month and to potentially win out. And
my thing on JK is I agree with you where I don't in a season long perspective, he needs to be real efficient to be a top 10 running back. But in an individual week upside, I think he easily has 2 to 3 rushing touchdowns in his, and we only care. They're playing the Steelers week 17, who could be the worst team in football. They could be running up that score. And I don't know if you remember two off seasons ago or last off season before Dobbins went injured. We were at least getting blurbs of they're going to try to improve J.K. Dobbins' passing work this year. So he wasn't a pass catcher, but I remember those blurbs at least for some optimism, the easiest things to write in the world. But I really like this start where, I mean, we got Josh Allen stacked with his top 2 wideouts. We got 2 stud running backs, a guy who could be top 5 on the season and a guy who will give us the usable spike weeks. And then we got Michael Thomas, man. It's one of the easiest clicks there for me.
We can still add to these stacks as we move along here.
Oh, yeah. Did you see the recent Odell Beckham commenting on Von Miller's Instagram about potentially a reunion with Buffalo?
Was it Buffalo? I saw the Rams. Oh, no, wait.
No. So the whole time, this whole offseason, I knew OBJ to the Bills was a dark horse possibility. And Von Miller posted the hype tape and OBJ posted I don't know, the eyes emoji or something. And Von's let's run it back. Let's get another ring. And OBJ's you got me thinking. basically. And of course, everyone is run with this. I'm like, OBJ to the Bills. But I don't know. Like, who even, I guess he'd be the third wide receiver. And, as for like outside wide receivers on the Bills after Davis and Diggs, like if something were to happen to someone, like they don't exactly want to force Khalil Shakir in there.
Well, with the January injury, like he's not going to be. We would be drafting him for the end of the season, anyways.
Yeah,
right?
the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean that's all I care about.
Yeah,
like, we're just gonna we're gonna just advance through randomness or advance through whatever. But I really try to optimize for end of season week 17. And like, yeah, I get the people that say you got to get there, but advancing really doesn't help you as much. It's not, as far as like winning money, advancing is not the thing that does it. So we could buy Antonio Gibson on the dip. We could grab, I like Olave if we want to continue with the Saints stack. I like Burks.
Do we think Olave's going to come back?
Now that I said it, no. It is pick 81, but we can gamble. Who would you go if not Olave?
That's a terrific question. Maybe we just go Olave. Maybe we just go Olave anyways to make
sure.
All right,
we go Olave.
It's only 6 spots before or 7. It's fine.
Yeah, it's whatever. And we're telling, like, no one else should be incentivized to take Jameis other than maybe the guy with Kamara if he felt like it. But making a big, like, and I just think the Saints are going to be good, man. And I don't know, like these running backs they all kind of blend together. It's like, just give me a name here.
Maybe the Treylon Burks is the one who dips too, given the most recent news of him, like playing baseball in camp. Yeah. Just like running the complete opposite direction.
Yeah. That's definitely in the range of outcomes.
It's like they treat him like he's the kid who scores on the other basket whenever he gets a rebound. It's like, no, you don't put it back in your own basket. Like, all right, he's still an NFL player.
Jason, calm down your testosterone levels over here, man. He's salivating over the RB values of someone. Who's this guy?
Is that early? That's early for Kenneth Gainwell, right? Very early for Ramondre too, right?
Yeah, no, this guy's going off script here.
Yeah.
Definitely going off script there. Maybe those were cue mistakes. I mean, there's been some recent buzz on Gainwell, but nothing that...
nothing around Ramondre's range. Like, that's pretty...
Something to note here is this guy's going 0 RB, so he's going to need to start clicking RBs eventually.
Well, he just got 2 sniped from him. He goes Tony Pollard.
I like Burks. I like Sky. I like MBS.
I think the dip on Burks is fine.
Yeah,
wide receiver 5. Like, this is just fine. It was easier to make the argument for Robert Woods whenever their ADPs are so far apart. But now it's gotten closer, and it's like, well, of course I'm going to then bet on the profile of Treylon Burks. But before, I was not.
Yeah, he's a pretty polarizing player where some people just flat out don't like him. The bits of training camp I saw, like, the dude's got massive hands, is a massive human. Like, if I'm the play caller for them, I'm trying to do Debo type stuff, or really just like short throws where it's just him versus a boundary corner. And that boundary corner has to try to tackle like a Derrick Henry-esque wide receiver. Like that seems like something I would lean on if I were the Titans.
And the concern is that knowing Vrabel's scheme and that they literally don't jam receivers' targets. A.J. Brown never saw more than 106 targets in any season. They literally just run their crossers. They run their system, and then if you're open, you get the ball. It could also just be the collapse of an offense with a worse offensive line. We got a rookie quarterback now behind Ryan Tannehill. They were the most overrated number 1 seed, maybe in NFL history. So
worst 1 seed? Yes, they were the worst 1 seed ever.
It's a lot to take into account with the Titans offense.
But they play in a really bad division where after they're always going to be live for the playoffs in today's landscape when their competition is the Jaguars and the Texans. And, like the Colts are not a world beating team, Darius Leonard looks like he's going to be injured for a while too. And I think Tannehill's gotten way too cheap. So we have 2 cheap stacks that we can get. And that's kind of nice where you take pass catchers you like and you can stack with the quarterbacks late, where it's like, if someone snipes us for the laughs on Jameis, then we can always pivot to Tannehill.
Very cheap. Like he's going what? QB 22, 23?
I'm telling you, it's because last year people drafted him in like the 9-10 and he didn't have the same passing production. He still had the rushing touchdowns.
Absolutely.
And now it's also like the Malik Willis draft pick. I think that's part of it as well. This is ridiculous. This box.
Okay.
So this would look. So these guys, I mean, I have no idea what the 12 hole's doing when he's going off script here, but in theory, Cole doesn't need running backs too much. Alsatina, though, does. So, like, if there's a running back versus wide receiver here, we should probably grab the running back we like first. Also, the 9-10 is where I feel a lot of running backs have the potential to be league winner. So, like, people are going to emerge in this range, to me. I'm still a Gage guy. I know some people aren't after Julio. How do you view the Julio Gage breakdown?
I still go Gage, but I also think he's going to dip maybe further. So
are you cool with James Cook as the passing down back as Josh Allen?
Absolutely. RB3, it fits our onslaught.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And onslaughts are good for advancing. They're good for getting through the playoff finals. They're probably not optimal for week 17, where you're really only probably counting on one, at most two players in an onslaught. But again, a great way to get to a great way. That's funny by John. He's sitting at the 102. He's like, I like Sky, I like MVS, and then they both get taken right before him. But a great way to get to the finals again.
And then we can also add Beckham later. Let me see the picks here.
We coming up here. Yeah, just let me know because I click around. I try to show the draft board when we're not on the clock.
Right.
I
mean, we got what we got to do here.
Do you want to do this or do you want to do?
Oh, I was going to say we got to go Tyler Boyd for the week 17.
I'm cool with that too. Let's do
that. Okay?
Yeah, that's cool. The Bills have a really good slot corner. I will say if we're going to get real
we're not worried about slot corners in week 17, Leo.
Oh, brother. We try to take any edge we think. If it's a 1% edge, we are trying to push it.
I don't really pay attention to corners in the regular season, so
that's fair. That's fair. It's very minor. But my question for you is, if everyone's healthy, who do you think has more 20-point games in their repertoire, Russell Gage or Tyler Boyd?
Russell Gage. But we're not. So that's when you say taking the edge into account. Like, I think Boyd has the higher contingency value as a wide receiver than Russell Gage.
Well, I mean, not if – no way.
If Jamar Chase or T. Higgins goes down, like, Boyd is more valuable than Russell Gage.
But if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin also go down –
it's true.
I mean, we're really just saying a pass catcher for Tom Brady versus a pass catcher for the Bengals. And I guess we're asking, is Tyler Boyd purely a slot or can he do outside things? Because Russell Gage did outside work last year too. But we're splitting hairs.
Yeah, I worry about Russell Gage as a player still. Just because he literally was just a special teamer. Like, he wasn't good until Calvin Ridley went out, and then he just got over 8 targets per game. Like, until that point, he didn't matter at all in the offense. He didn't matter for, like, the NFL. He was just a pure slot receiver.
It's a little bit of box score looking, and it's a little bit of – I pulled the athletic numbers for Antonio Brown and Russell Gage just was curious how they comp to each other, because that's kind of how I was viewing it, is like Brady supported all these pass catchers. And Russell Gage and Antonio Brown look identical on paper. I'm not saying Russell Gage can be Antonio Brown, but I'm not saying that either, John. That's in the range. But of course, the contingency value for both are really high, and it makes sense to have pieces of the Bengals with this Bills on.
I just always thought, like GA mentions that tweet about the report of Brady texting Russell Gage, but also like remember in the regular season, the last time Brady saw Russell Gage play, he went over 100 yards and scored a touchdown against the Bucks. Like that's the only time Brady ever saw Russell Gage play. So he also was just recency bias and thought Gage was like the best receiver he's ever seen in his life.
Well, the other thing is, and I believe in this narrative, is I think Tom Brady at this point of his career really wants to pad every stat he can because he sees the next generation of quarterbacks. And he's the type of team that they like to beat up on bad teams, and they play the Panthers week 17.
Right.
And so do I think Brady's going to try, like the Panthers also are supposed to have like a good defense, which I think if you're an elite quarterback, you're like, oh, you have a good defense. Let me show you, you know?
So in this case, that's true. I can't actually confirm that, GA. You are true.
So there's a couple, let's see what happens here. I think I want to go running back here between Spiller and Madison. Or are you
either one, honestly?
Well, you choose the one you like here then.
We don't really have weeks 15 through 17 correlated at all for either running back, I should say.
No, but we can add cheap Green Bay pieces. We can add cheap Ram pieces. It's not necessary though.
Let's go Madison.
All right.
I think it's much easier to add cheap Green Bay pieces.
Agreed with you there. I have
even though Dobbs is becoming more expensive.
Yeah, I have way more Madison than Spiller, so I'm trying to get a little Spiller on my teams, but Madison, like, we have no questions. I don't have any questions, at least, that his role is safe. I think there's questions about Spiller, even if we don't want there to be.
Yeah, Kane Wangu is literally a special teams running back. Like, he's not competition whatsoever. Not worried about it at all.
I was actually thinking about Devonta Smith today, and I don't know, man. I think Devonta Smith might be the guy who gets squeezed there. Like I'm doing all these high stakes best balls, and it's like, do I want Devonta Smith or do I want Kadarius Toney or do I want Brandon Ayuk? And earlier in the season, it was just like, oh yeah, Devonta Smith. He fits the ADPs and everything. But now I'm thinking about it's like maybe Devonta Smith is the 2 or 3 for the Eagles, and Toney is maybe the 1 for the Giants. I don't know. It's splitting hairs. So do we take Spiller and be done, or do you want to grab there's a tight end I like if you want to go tight end too?
Oof, I don't really do tight end in this range.
All right, let's do Spiller then.
If we miss out, I usually wait on tight end. Like I'm talking with you on our best ball happy hour. Let's go Spiller. Last week really opened up my eyes to, 3, 5, 7 builds, or just like, the 2, 6, 7, 3, like unique builds like that, betting on your 6 or 7 wide receivers, like those, the way you talked about it, like really got me interested in it. So now I've been mixing in a lot of like strong quarterback with Kyler, Jalen, Lamar, something like that. And then 2 other quarterbacks like Marcus Mariota and Carson Wentz or something stupid like that. And then also building the stacks with those late pieces, not to mention like the week 17 run backs with the Falcons and Cardinals. So the way you discuss that, like I have gotten so interested now in 4 tight end builds, for instance, rattling off 4 guys in the last 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And 6 running backs, 7 receivers, those kind of builds.
Yeah, like it wouldn't shock me if a computer was trained to do best ball if it always ended every draft. It never took tight end, and it always ended with 4. Yeah. 4 playoff formats. I don't think for scoring the most points season long, it maybe would take shots at the Kelseys and whatnot. But yeah, like first off, check out the tell the people where they can check out the best ball happy hour. I'm sure they know. But
it's 4for4's YouTube channel, literally just YouTube. Look up 4for4 every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, except this week only, since it is the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton. I will be hosting the best ball happy hour at lunch hour live from the ballroom at the Doubletree is what it is in Canton. There's only like one hotel. So I'll be live at the ballroom at 1 p.m. Eastern, literally 1 p.m. Eastern. No, is it 1 or noon? Noon Eastern. I'm trying to work with my head now for times because I'm moving time zones here. Noon Eastern, live from the Doubletree Ballroom live show. And then the poker tournament starts right after that. There you
That is, I want to actually, there's some things I want to ask you about that because that sounds fun. I'm not going this year, but I want to go. I want to do the fantasy or the flag football thing. I love flag football.
I'm trying to get a team going right now with the Front Yard Fantasy and Yahoo guys.
I quarterbacked my college team to a championship in intramurals, so
Are you near Canton?
I could fly in, man. Well, the other question I want to ask you is, I currently have no income coming in unless I gamble, and we have really no direction for this channel. So we're kind of trying to like get it going through YouTube. But earlier when you were talking about your path, I was wondering if you had advice for me. Should I just keep like I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do once the season starts. Clearly, I'm not going to sign with the website at this point. And we're just gonna. My goal is just kind of like, let's see how big we can grow at YouTube. I think that has value if I can do that. What would you recommend, Daigle, with your wisdom in industry? And let's answer that once we make our pick here.
You took my segue. I was gonna say, I recommend we take a pick real quick.
You want to take Jameis and not risk it, or do you feel strongly about?
No, this is the range. Let's take him.
All right,
this is good.
Let's just check the pick number. We're at 153, so
yeah,
there we go.
You want to do best ball, right? That's your niche.
Well, so
your street.
I don't want a normal person job again if I can avoid that. So the dream is gamble a bit. I'm gonna have this channel, which I kind of view as like, maybe I'll do some poker vlogs. Definitely do best ball in the summer. Hopefully get like a sponsor or something. And then I think I'll do like the DFS breakdowns once that starts, because I'm gonna be firing. Especially when the season starts, like I'm going to be entering like the 4K Millie Maker on DK and whatnot. So I don't know, maybe doing a bit of that. And then eventually I used to work for chess.com. So going to fire up my chess streets. And I have a niche idea with the chess where I think it would be fun for me. B, I think it would be good content. So we don't really know, Daigle, we're just kind of making content at this point.
I like those ideas. I think niche definitely helps, and chess is absolutely on that radar. Again, I'd watch your chess streams. I'm very interested in that. Maybe something around, since not everyone plays the 4K Millie every single week, maybe something around that. You obviously can't give your lineup away, but maybe a guest on to talk about the show or something like that, or talk about the lineup. And
I was thinking about maybe I record myself building it and then I release it after, where, I mean, that could be bad too if I actually hit something.
That's
the
point though.
Let's try to end with 4 tight ends here. And so let's take a wideout here. I like Jameson as a late season hammer. You got any issues with it?
No issues.
All right. So we're really counting on these guys to produce for us until when do you think Jameson Williams is returning? You're our news guru here.
Late November, I would think. And I don't think he's even close to a full-time player until we need him in December, honestly.
And my take on that is like I think the way people think about advancing in these best balls is there's 5 teams live week 14, and it's gonna be 10 points that separates everyone. That's usually not what happens. What usually happens is there's some really high advance rate players in the field, and if you hit on some of these league winners, you could advance almost any roster construction. So basically, if DeAndre Swift is a smash, if J.K. Dobbins, James Cook is a smash, if Josh Allen is again QB1, if Diggs, Davis, Michael, if the guys we're counting on blow the expectations out of the water, we can advance a 0 easily. Now we have leverage for the playoffs and the finals, and we're gonna have leverage and just going volume at tight end. So it's looking at your roster thinking, do I have people that can really separate at the skill positions from the field, kind of excluding quarterback a little bit? And I would say we do have players that could do that.
I also think, as you know, Buffalo drew one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. That's actually good for their offense, because we don't expect their offense to get stopped, right? But in any scenario where we can maybe even get jailbreak Josh Allen every single week would be incredible. Well, absolutely incredible.
The Bills might have the best defense and the best offense in the NFL. If Tre'Davious White is healthy, because I don't think people realize that the Bills pretty much changed their whole defensive line, and everyone is a stud. They still have Ed Oliver, but Von Miller is a huge addition. Like, they never really had that stud before, even though he's old. Ed Oliver was the defensive tackle comped to Aaron Donald a little bit, and the Bills just kind of had to play him as like a run stopper because we didn't have the pieces. But now they signed all these guys like Jordan Phillips, Tim Set, like guys who were coveted in the past and just wanted to come back to Buffalo. Shaq Lawson returned to Buffalo this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm questioning, like, what does a really good defense do to a fantasy offense? It probably helps it, I guess. But yeah, like, we like that the Bills have a tough, like, we want teams pushing them. We don't want teams keeping the ball away from them, but that's not really a worry. And I bring that up to say that the Bills have a really good defense. Like, they're question marks at their second cornerback and when Trey White comes back, but the Bills' offense is eviscerating the defense in practice most days still.
I completely agree.
Who is the biggest ADP riser from today to week 1? Well, from today. Whoever pops off in a preseason game, man. There's going to be someone who scores some points in a preseason game. Like, we already saw it with Zamir White a little bit, you know? So let's not even.
Yeah, we saw Josh Jacobs essentially, where everyone's now trying to get out and not hold the bag.
Are you cool with Higbee? It correlates with Spiller.
Yeah, 1 of 4, a touchdown dependent tight end. I'm totally cool with that.
Easy. Attached to it. It feels real good when you could take tight ends attached to elite quarterbacks.
Career high in snaps and route rate last year, just didn't amount to anything. Like, he was either touchdown or bust. His only top 5 performance on the year was in week 18, and that's when everyone's fantasy leagues were already done, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, I really like Jacob Harris athletically, and I didn't know what the Rams were doing with the Kendall Blanton or whatever in the Super Bowl. Like, that's given me a little bit pause on Higbee, but he's so cheap now. So Hayden Hurst makes all the sense in the world, and I also like Taysom. Should we take Hayden and do another piece of the Bengals game?
Yes.
He's getting a lot of positive buzz in camp too. And again, we have a tight end attached to Joe Burrow, a tight end attached to Matt Stafford. That feels pretty good. Appreciate guys. If you have suggestions, drop them, or this one, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Helps motivate me to do these streams, to drive across the state of Florida, dodge traffic, drove through Alligator Alley, and get back in time to do these fire contents. Dang, Taysom Hill goes. I really want to be massively overweight Taysom Hill. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, of course I like Taysom Hill, because that's the argument against all the late round tight ends, right? Is that Taysom Hill literally, he takes a couple snaps, he catches a couple passes, he's a top 12 tight end.
Yeah, like, I kind of wish someone took Hayden Hurst so we could take Taysom Hill, but especially in 4 tight end builds, it feels good, but whatever.
I definitely, it was the argument about which one came back to us, and maybe Hayden Hurst had a greater chance. I figured we may have had a chance, though. Taysom still came back.
Taysom ADP wise did, but the problem is I think some Saints site put out a video of Taysom Hill catching passes today.
They did today, yeah.
Man, does he look fast.
Yeah.
Real fast.
At tight end too, yep.
Yeah, people are saying like a backup running back can get a big riser. Hell, Taysom Hill could be a big riser. Isaiah Pacheco, he's a guy climbing up boards. Let's talk about some of these uncertain situations. Do you have any lean in the Green Bay receiving core, the Chiefs running backs, the Chiefs pass catchers, the Broncos situations? How's you feel about all of it?
The issue is that Robert Tonyan was drafted a long time ago. I think the answer is Dobbs. So now we have to ask, who is the next guy?
Is it Dobbs or Dubs?
I think it's Dobbs. I thought it was no. It was initially announced as Dubs in the pronunciation guide, but then he said he never corrected anyone in college. And so I think it's Dobbs.
One of these situations.
Yeah, it's one of those. And we've never had more name changes in any NFL season than this year. Kenneth to Ken Walker. Robbie
Yeah.
changed his last name. There's been a couple cornerback.
William Fuller.
Deontay Harris is now Deontay Hardy.
How does Will Fuller change his name, but we don't even know if he's playing football? Like that had to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah, I don't usually. I understand the ADP bump, but I usually don't draft Will Fuller anyhow.
I do because
Yeah, a lot of people do. Yeah.
If he again, I'm an upside guy, man. Like the zeros don't bother me as much as the smashes. Like I straight up don't care if I advance 50% below expectation if the teams I advance are unique in the playoffs and or super teams.
Dulcich would have been a good pick for us as well. He just went.
Someone asked, do I ever take Logan Thomas? That's a guy I love in my 4 tight end build because yeah, it's not ideal. He's 31. He's coming off not just one injury, but like also knee reconstruction or something. But I think Wentz has been a bit of a tight end guy in the past, and he's a year removed from like a 140-point season and being a monster. So I like him. I'm cool with Brevin Jordan here, though. If you are, there's been a lot of positive buzz about him.
I prefer Mo Alley Cox.
So my problem with Mo, and I will do Mo, is he's competing with Jelani Woods and Kylan Granson, and he couldn't even beat out Jack Doyle in the past.
But yeah, maybe he couldn't have beat out Jack Doyle. At least they didn't let him, but he did outperform Jack Doyle whenever he was on the field. But Jelani Woods isn't even like an NFL player. Like it was a terrible pick from the beginning. He's
an athletic freak, though.
But like he can't even get on the field in training camp. Like that, you think Treylon Burks reports are bad? Look at anything Colts beats say about Jelani Woods.
I saw like he has bad hands, but he runs silky smooth, is what I saw.
I didn't even see the silky smooth part. They're just like talking up this guy to basically convert to a linebacker because he can't do anything.
The Brevin Jordan hype though has been big. It's been like he caught 2 touchdowns and passes.
Really because they keep saying Pharaoh Thomas is a
so first they came out with the Pharaoh Smith thing, but that guy's a blocker. You know, Lovie Smith is trying to be a fish and talk up the blocker.
That's true. Yes.
All right, tight ends that like Bellinger's the tight end 1 for the Giants. Again, Logan
Let's
Thomas.
go Logan Thomas. That's your guy.
Jonnu Smith, I'm okay with.
Logan Thomas is your guy. Let's go Logan Thomas.
What about a little Tommy Tremble? Like that's a tight end 1 that's not getting drafted.
The only thing is like we don't have any Tampa Bay players.
We don't, but that's not what. Do we have it? Well,
do you prefer Logan Thomas or Tommy Tremble?
Tommy Tremble is probably going to be drafted on like 3 teams. So let's get a little Tommy Tremble.
It is. Yeah, I just don't do Daniel Bellinger. I don't know. I don't think the Giants tight ends offer anything. I think they really just go 4 and 5 deep every single time at wide receiver, including Barkley from the slot.
Baker's always been kind of a tight end guy, right?
Yes.
And he is the tight end 1 for the Panthers, right?
Yes. Well, someone could argue Ian Thomas, but Tremble was playing more down the stretch last year whenever they traded Dan Arnold.
Yeah, it's purely this guy's going to be drafted on sub 50 teams in the whole contest, maybe more now since we did it on stream. And so if we get him to the playoffs in general, like we're going to be the only person absorbing Tommy Tremble points. So a weird team, a fun team. I like it where we got a Bills Saints double stack with another piece of the Bills at the running back. Really like our top 2 running backs. Really like the contingent value of some of these guys and standalone. 4 tight ends where it's like these 2 we know are getting points for us. Mo Alley Cox could be the guy there. Tommy Tremble is maybe largely a 0, but whatever. And yeah, a really strong wide receiver crew. So Daigle, how do you feel about this team? It's a weird one, but I think it fits the channel and the way this started.
I feel like we went back and forth a lot as well. That's what's most important. That I wanted some picks, you wanted some picks, and we came in with 2, 5, 7, 4, which we both like. So I like it.
Yeah, not ideal to have 4 tight ends and still be being lapped by the field at the tight end position. No, I'm joking. We should be fine there. Let me name this bad boy. so that I know who to split this $2 million with.
You're wise because I forget to do this and I have to go back like a month now and figure it out on all the streams.
Always name it after stream.
Always name it. So you already picked that up for me.
So yeah, we ended with a 2574. So Daigle, how about you guys? If you were in the chat and you want us to look at your team, we'll look at 1 or 2 teams. Don't want to take up too much of Daigle's time. But Daigle, how about you tell the people where they can see all your work and any exciting content you have coming down the pipeline?
4for4.com. Currently 20 team previews up, I believe, and hoping to have at least 24 by the end of the week, but they're moving faster now, especially since we're getting closer. And right now you can actually use the promo code Daigle10, not an underdog code, even though I do have Daigle, but Daigle10 to get 10% off of the pro sub. So go there. You can get access to our rankings, our projections. I manually curate the underdog top 250 for tournaments, which includes a lot of players higher or lower on ADP that I discussed today. And everything is there. 4for4.com.
I like working with 4for4 people because 2 years ago when I was first getting into best ball, I remember trying to Google best ball stuff, and 4for4 was literally the only website that had anything on. I wasn't on Twitter, so that's why I'm not aware of a bunch of people in the industry. This is my first full year, I think I've been.
Which is an amazing life.
Mental health is at an all-time low. Screen time's at an all-time high, but we're having a great.
It's amazing how that correlation works. The Venn diagram, it goes lower as your Twitter time goes higher.
Yeah. All right, guys, I lied. We're not saucing any teams, but hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to check out Daigle's content. He's electric. And have a great day. Tell your family, your wife, your husband that you love them. Peace.